Hello everybody and welcome to another Let's Play video with me, CWATTYESO. And in this video I'm going to be playing Motorsport Manager. I'm going to be starting my own team, forging my own career path, and we're going to be doing so in the European Racing League. So we're going to start in the lowest tier of the single-seater series and try and work our way up ultimately to the top division, the top tier, and hopefully win the ultimate top division championship. But we're going to do so heavily handicapped by being a brand new starting out team, my own team, the Gaming for Fun CWATTYESO team, and we are going to be basically replacing Predator in the European Racing Series. So we're going to be the lowest of the low. We're going to have the worst car, some of the worst facilities, the worst staff, the most abysmal drivers, and we're going to have to try and build out and work our way up from there. We're literally going to be bottom runners. You know, the first season it's going to be about trying to get things in place for the future. We're not going to be winning races in the first season, so anybody looking to see exciting races of me taking victories and podiums and stuff like that, this series is probably not for you, because this is going to be a slow build. You know, the possibility is I may not even finish the early races because my cars are going to be that rubbish, their reliability is going to be that poor that we're going to have failures and we're not going to finish. So ultimately, my first season, if I do anything but finish last, I will have overachieved. You know, I expect to be 10th in my first season. That is a fact. Unless I can, I don't know, invest quite quickly in staff, get a good designer, get some good mechanics, maybe find a good promising young driver. And obviously this screen I get to start my investment offers. I am probably going to take the low pressure, one of the low pressure ones, and I think I'm probably going to take the I'm going to take the bog standard low pressure, low financial starting package, make everything quite challenging and difficult for me. Make it as difficult can be, because that way when I ultimately succeed it's going to be that much more rewarding. Okay, so the game is obviously saving now as it's loaded. It'll save before we do anything. Okay, let's check our mail first of all. Okay, here's Kurt Kruger, who's our team boss, who is our, believes we're going to be on to the start something new. Here's my personal assistant, Ivory, who, okay, target for the first season. Okay, I've got to pick my targets, where I expect to finish. 8th? I don't think so. 9th is going to be a challenge and a half. There is no option for last. That's a bit of a shame, because that's the one I would have gone for. And then obviously our scouting report. Our drivers are awful, our designer is awful, and our mechanics are awful. You need to get hiring fast. Okay, let's do that then. Let's see if we can find some new drivers. Problem is, drivers, I'm going to have to scout them before I can sign them. It's not going to tell me how good they are, is it? So I'm going to have to do some scouting to start with, which means potentially the first races of the season I'm going to be having to run with the idiots that I've got in my team to begin with. She looks promising. She could be a promising driver, so I'm going to scout her. I think the biggest problem is I don't have a lot of scouting spaces because I don't have the scouting centre yet, although I expect to get that quite early, because I think with this scenario that I'm starting with I get the building. In fact, actually I probably should have advanced a day or two in the game because I actually unlock the buildings at the start. You start with certain buildings unlocked. I'm kind of shooting myself in the foot here by doing this. I just realised. Okay. I will... Well, it doesn't matter. I'm going to scout these two anyway, and then I'll have some more slots to scout some more drivers soon. And I'm now going to look at, obviously, the designers. He looks very promising. And he can produce an additional part for no extra cost or time. That's the designer I want. That's who I want to start with. Because as I'm a small team and my car is going to be pretty crap, I'm going to need to develop parts for those cars. The problem is, in this game, you develop one part at a time. So you only normally get one part which can apply to one car. So one car will get better, the other one will stay crap. Whereas this designer has a trait which allows him to produce an additional part at no extra cost and no extra time. So when you build a new, say, engine, for example, you will get two of them, which means you can fit them to both cars at the same time. So both cars will get the performance improvements straight away. That is going to be absolutely critical for me going forward. Unfortunately, it means I've got to build 4 engines. If I'm going to upgrade an engine, I'm going to have to build 4 engines to start with before I can even reach that perk, though, because it is locked away as an epic design trait on his behalf. So I'm going to at least have to invest in engines up to epic level, which will probably take half a season. And mechanics, I just want good mechanics, preferably who are going to be good at improving performance and reliability on my parts between races, and hopefully not doing too bad a job during races. I mean, I don't want mechanics who are going to drop wheel nuts on pit stops and forget to put fuel in the cars and stuff like that. But obviously attracting good mechanics is going to be a bit of an issue, because most of these people are not going to want to race for a team with my low status. I'm a brand new team. I've got no attractiveness. I've got no marketability. I am rock bottom. She's interested. She wants to join me. Okay. In fact, I'm probably best off trying to steal drivers from opposing teams. That's probably my best bet. I know that sounds horrible. It's a horrible thing to do. But yeah, definitely stealing mechanics from other teams is a prospect. It will cost me money to break them out of their contracts and stuff, but he's good. I'm going to hire him. I'm going to try and sign him. I can't remember, what did he... He's not on a lot of wages, but he's going to want a lot to move to me. So I'm going to have to give him quite the significant pay rise. Okay. I'd like a nice signing on fee. Fair enough. Tell you what, for 29 years of age, he's gone bald quick, hasn't he? I've only just noticed that. He's a bit of a baldy. He obviously hasn't got good genes in his family tree. Hair loss has hit him quite early on in life. But, you know, that's not a bad thing, you know. Some of the best Formula 1 designers, engineers are baldies. I mean, look at Adrian Newey. Who else are we going to sign then? Eva Harding. I like her. I like the sound of her. She's got some pretty handy stats, look. Performance, especially. Pit stops, great. She's going to have to improve her part fixes during races, because that's a crappy stat. But get her into the staff centre and get her swatting up, and we can soon have that stat improved and increased. Again, I'm quite happy to give her a decent sized bonus because we're not going to get anywhere near third or above in a race for quite some time. Certainly going to be a lot better than the staff I've got. Look how crap they all are. You know. Even our drivers look. Gomez, he's potentially got some promise, but again, he's going to have to do some serious work in the staff centre and that to improve. Faith Anthony, age is not on her side, and she's a nice girl. And nice girls finish last. And obviously, we've got this fella, the crappiest reserve driver around, Theodore Red. I'll be getting rid of him quite quickly. In this first season, what I may ultimately do is, if I can sign a decent driver, I may drop Faith Anthony down into the reserve slot just for this season, until I can do some more scouting and find someone better. Again, just looking at drivers, I'm not gonna have any details on anyone. So unfortunately, at this moment in time, trying to sign drivers is going to be a thing. There's Sergio Valdez. Dembrelli, I remember them from my ZRT career that I did when the game first came out. They were fairly decent-ish drivers, I recall. Valdez had potential. Maybe. He was marketable, I know that much, which was good for the team. Yeah. Improve parts. Okay, so one of the things we need to get working on very quickly is improving performance and reliability. Why am I No, that's wrong. Why is he improving the reliability of a spec part? I should have probably changed that and had him working on our engines instead. I'm trying to get through this bit as quick as possible so we can get some racing in this episode, because I know people don't want to look at all this stuff for too long perhaps, and want to get down to the real exciting stuff of me trying to actually do races. Again, try and keep an even field between my drivers. I don't want them getting too upset. It's alright, that's okay. We've answered the questions of Sophie Richards. We're going to get through this series quite well, I think. Okay, let's have a look. Oh, we can sign. We can sign our new designer. Great stuff. He didn't want to negotiate. He didn't want to muck about. He's happy. So let's have him. And no, he's a mechanic. Sorry, not a designer. Okay. Okay, fair enough. Still a step in the right direction, though, isn't it? Let's have a look at improving parts then. Which side is he on? He's on that side. Is that because he's got performance in his blood? Performance, yes. Performance is his highest stat at the minute. Like I say, until he gets in that staff centre and starts working out and buffing himself up and improving everything, he's going to be... Well, he's better than what I started with, but he has the potential to be so much more. Okay, if we're going to sign this designer, we're going to have to break the bank a bit on this one. We'll pay him a little bit more. Ooh, we're going into the realms of Silly Street now. But I do kind of want him. Ultimately, he's going to save me money in the long run with his perk, his trait, his ability to produce extra components at no extra cost and time. that will save me more in the long run than what I'm going to be paying him in wages, so might as well just throw some cash at him. Okay, let's hopefully get this other mechanic side. Okay, we've got some sponsors. Shell want to sponsor us for 6 races for 150,000. I'm possibly going to hold on. Oh, Epson want to give me 1.2 million for 30 races, with an additional 200 grand every race. Sorry, Shell, your offer is quite weak. Epson have offered a good chunk of change there, look. It's 30 races though. It's a bit of a lengthy deal. I might just hold fire on the sponsors until nearer the okay, he wants a telemetry centre. They do like to bitch about their telemetry centres, these designers. Unfortunately, until I get a staff centre of level 2, I will not be able to buy and start building a telemetry centre. So Theodore Red is fed up. Okay. Well, you know what? I'm not really that bothered, mate, if you're fed up, because you're a crappy reserve driver and you're going to be gone as soon as I've got a better driver. Because I'm going to demote Faith Anthony into your role for the first season. Ideally, I'm thinking now, I would like to get a main driver who is a paying driver. That would be very good for me financially. First season. Okay, got loads of offers now. Durex want to sponsor me for 24 races. 3 million up front. Okay. However, the offer from Monster looks to be considerably better, so I'm going to take the offer from Monster. And I like Monster. Santander. 27 races at 350 grand or 9 races at 350 grand. I'm going to take the 9 races one because I predict by the end of the season I might be able to attract better sponsors. I'm going to take the deal from Epson. It's 1 million quid. Shadow or Marlboro. I'm not sure we're allowed to do tobacco advertising in racing anymore, are we? 30 races. They want 6 million up front and a bonus of 75 per race. It's a bit steep. None of them deals look particularly inviting. Brembo, the brake company. 24 races, 4.5 million up front, 450 grand a race. I'm going to take that. I know that's quite a long contract, but me getting money in the door now is going to be better. And I might just take the offer from Boss. Do I risk taking that? It's only for a few races. I'm going to chance it. I'm going to chance waiting to see if I get any better offers. Okay, let's look at the car. What can I do with the car? My car is quite poor. It's incredibly poor. Yeah, you work on improving the performance on my engines. Definitely. I should have probably done the reliability on them at the same time. Hindsight is a wonderful thing. And look at how crappy my engines start. Look, 11 and 12 as their potential max performance. I'm definitely going to need to design a new engine pretty quickly. So yeah, you can start working on a new engine, mate. And I don't have a great pool to choose from. Reliability, red zone minus 10, reliability plus 15, or a risk part, a cheat part. Build that for now, just so I can unlock the next tier, but that's not good. an average level component that you can't use because it breaks the rules. That's a bit of a... That's going to hold me back a bit. Let's do the design centre. Let's upgrade that. And then let's spend some money and upgrade the factory to level 2. And what else can we do? We've got a forecasting centre. We're going racing, everybody. It's time. It's time to go racing. We're going to go aim for night for above. We're going to take the Brembo sponsorship. Look how woeful my car is. Look, performances of 1 and 2. I've got a gearbox there that offers me 0 performance. I've got suspension there, 0. How anyone expects me to finish anything but last? If it was actually possible to finish lower than last, I would. This car is horrendously bad. Hello to the Gaming for Fun, CWATTYESO, also Ran's team, because that's what I'm going to be this season, an also Ran. I'm not going to be competitive. I'm not going to be competing for any glories or honours. Like I say, if my drivers actually finish the races, I should be delighted. And we go into the Black Sea practice. Now, who are we going to... it's raining. Well, we're going to need to get Gomez and Faith out on the track, start getting them some experience. I'm going to give you some more wing, because you're probably going to need some downforce. Does he want to be a bit oversteery? Maybe a bit accelerating? I'm guessing. This first setup's just guesswork. It really is. And now we get to do the same process, of course, with Faith's car. So again, we're going to give her some downforce, drop off her tyre pressures a bit maybe, make her a little bit understeery. I'm guessing she wants the suspension to be a little bit firm around here maybe. I'm probably going the wrong way with the gear ratios, however. I've got a feeling they still want some top speed, and I may be going a little bit too in favour of acceleration. So there's a high risk that they're going to be running up against the rev limiter, because they're going to run out of gear ratio. My voice is getting very croaky again, I notice. It did this during my last Transport Fever video as well. I don't know why. It just feels like I've got something lodged in my throat, and I keep trying to sort of cough and stuff to try and dislodge it, but it's not happening. So we'll send the boys out for an outlap anyway. Well, sorry, boys and girl. And look at our wonderful livery. I quite like the green and black. I do like those colours. They show up well. I've also, you may have noticed, got a mod installed that allows you to zoom in a little bit closer with the camera, so you can get a little bit closer in on your cars. Not that they're that exciting to look at. The models are very basic. There's no real animations on them. The wheels don't rotate. The drivers don't move inside the cockpits or anything. But it lets you get a little up close and personal view of your cars, which is a little bit better than the constantly zoomed out look in the default game. One thing I may do is go into the options and turn off the depth of field effect, because I don't like that. It makes everything go a bit blurry, look. I might turn off the depth of field. Anthony's doing okay. And as I predicted, yes, I've got the gear ratios completely wrong. They don't have enough top speed. Okay, I need to bring them in then and change that when I get chance. One of the things I am running in this video series is the flaming red balance mod as well, that has been created by obviously a player of the game, that makes quite a few significant changes to how things work in the game, changes a few of the mechanics and stuff like that, adds a few things so there's greater chances of cars crashing and spinning in races and stuff, changes a few things to make it a little bit more realistic. So for example, here in this practice session, if I bring my cars into the pits and make any setup changes, the length of time those changes take to apply to the car are more realistic, so it actually takes longer to make changes to your car's setups, which means you can quickly run out of time in practice. Obviously in the vanilla version of the game, one of the things people tended to do was basically send a car in practice out onto the track and bring it straight back in, because you gained setup knowledge, and then you was able to get, you know, really perfect setups just by basically sending your cars out and bringing them straight back in, never doing any laps, just basically exploiting the game system. So the flaming red mod fixes that. Basically, when I make changes to Anthony's car now, it's going to take quite a bit of time for our mechanics and pit crew to implement them changes. Look, 43 seconds already, look, just changing a bit of downforce. Put the gear ratios up, that's going to be a minute. Over a minute. Here we go, now we've got 83 seconds. Oh dear. And this is all time you're going to be losing out of your practice time on track. So if you get your setup horribly wrong to start with, there's a chance you may never ever be able to find it with this mod installed, with the length of time that the practice sessions have. Like I say, in the European Racing Series we only get 12 minutes. So making any changes to these cars it's guesswork. You need to be in the ballpark with your initial setup, but then be making fine adjustments. If you're like me here in this particular race, you've got your setup so wrong to start with, realistically you're never going to get it right. You're never going to find the perfect setup because you just don't have the time. Like I say, I'm sat here now waiting for the mechanics to do their work and send the cars out again, but the clock is ticking. 6 minutes counting down. And we are dead last. We are 19th and 20th on the grids at the minute in practice. 5 seconds off the pace, lot. 5 seconds. If this was real racing, we wouldn't be allowed to compete because we're not within the 107% rule. You know? Hopefully though, changing the setup, I will be able to get somewhere inside that. I'm hoping. Again, to be fair, I've got my season target is to finish 9th, so ideally I'm looking to finish every race, what, that's 17th and 18th, and hope my rival is below me in every race, so I finish 9th. Obviously, the chances of that happening are going to be slim because races are always going to be random, because in this series there is no qualifying. The race grid, the starting grid for the race, is determined by the championship position of the cars. So you know, you suddenly have a fluky result, and the next race you're going to be penalised for that on the grid, you're going to be starting near the back. Whereas if you're the worst team in the championship, you're going to be starting every race at the front, which gives you a chance to maybe, well, in the early races it gives you a chance to get some points if you can kind of hang on to positions and not drop too far back through the field. But ultimately you will be earning points, which means you're then going to start starting races further and further back, so you're going to drop back a lot quicker, and ultimately then you're going to be last in races and everyone will be overtaking you. But then the roundabout swings again, because you will then be moving towards the front of the grid again for the race starts. So this championship's quite funny in how it works like that. There's no qualifying, it's championship order for the grids. Makes the races quite, you know, it gives small teams a glimmer of hope that they might be able to get the odd race result. But ultimately you're going to want to design a car that's going to be consistent, because you're going to be wanting to be delivering consistent results. You want to be finishing roughly about the same places every race. Okay, I've done quite well there actually on her setup. I've got 2 excellents and an okay for the downforce. So I don't know whether she wants higher or lower. That's the only issue I've got, and I'm not going to get her out on the track in time to resolve it. He's got great. He's only got good for handling, but he's got great for speed balance. Okay, which way do I go then? You know what would have been really useful? If I'd written down the numbers of Anthony's car and copied her setup to Gomez. Because at this point, their cars are practically identical. There's no real performance differences between her cars, because they're using the starting spec parts, which are crap. I've not built any parts yet which have different sort of performance ratings. That's when things start to get a little bit different on the setups, when you've got different parts on different cars that have different ratings. That can then definitely sway your setups quite considerably and make it hard. But whilst your cars are the same, the setups are going to be the same, which is one of the reasons why I'm keen to get into that mechanic perk of being able to build 2 parts at the same time, because that way then I can keep my cars exactly the same performance, which means their setups will be the same, and then it's just down to the drivers at the end of the day. And practice has finished and we came 19th and 20th. We were last, which I kind of expected, to be honest. But at least I've got a setup ready for the race, which will be in the next episode of this series. So for now, from me, thank you all for watching. I will hopefully see you all again soon in the next video. You know what you have to do. Leave your likes, leave your comments, subscribe, share the videos, all that usual stuff. You've been a great audience.